Hi guys, Shelly Fitzgerald, sewshelly.com or on YouTube at Sew Shelly Quilts. I'm going to make a little heart for Valentine's, a project in the hoop. And I saw these little hearts, several people were making them with little pockets on the back, and I thought that would be a great in the hoop project. I wanted to do something in embroidery software for you guys. I haven't done that in a while. I'm in the Bernina embroidery software version 9. I'm using the Designer Plus, and when you turn that on, you end up being on this home screen. And from there you can do different things, but I just want to go straight into the embroidery canvas. I can click here, or I can just click New Design. These are the designs that we're going to recreate. I've already made them to see if it's going to work well, and they are, but I'm not going to open those. I'm going to make a brand new design. Now the heart I want to use is on the embroidery canvas, the artwork canvas, and that is our Coreldraw. You touch the little paintbrush here and go over to the Coreldraw side. Now once you get over to Coreldraw, I'm going to use any shape. It's over here on the left. It's these little shapes that the icon is a triangle and a circle and a square. And when that is selected, you'll see in the top toolbar, up will pop this little parallelogram with the dark arrow in the bottom corner. And when you click that, you'll see all the shapes that could be made. And we want to make a heart. So I'm going to click on the heart, and I'm just going to click and drag. And I'm just going to work until I get the shape of a heart that looks kind of the width and height that I like. And I'm going to click, and that's good. Now I am going to select that heart and make it 7 inches high. I'm going to close the lock button so that it will proportionately grow, and I'll make it 7 inches high. Now while it is selected, I'm going to just hit convert. I will hit the 0 on my keyboard, and you can see that I have stitches. I have a heart that is 6.999 inches high that has stitches. My heart's really large in the maxi hoop. Yours could be any size you want and much smaller if you desired. So that's pretty cool. Now I am going to use this first heart in order to stitch on the stabilizer and see where to place my fabric. I'll need another heart, so I'm going to hit copy, paste. Now I have 2 hearts. It's hard to tell because they're the same color, so in color film they're on top of each other. If I show individual objects, I can tell that I have 2 hearts. And I'll make the second one a different color. And then even if I'm back on the color film by color, I see both of them. And this is the one where I would lay my fabric down. And I'm going to put fusible fleece stabilizer. That's a very thin fleece stabilizer behind my heart. Your fabrics, you do whatever you want. But I'm going to put it right. Place fabric right side up, wrong side down. Side down, and it will stitch around that. Then I want to copy and paste this again, so I'm just going to hit paste one more time, and I'll make that a different color. And for this one, I want to do some couching. So instead of it being a single outline, I'm going to change to a stipple fill. Now let's make that a dark color so that we can see it better. Let's go with a dark red, maybe, something that is more visually impactful. There we go. And that is, if I just stitched, would make a beautiful stipple fill. That's not what I want, because I want to use my 43 foot and do some couching. And so that stippling, I'm going to right click on the stipple fill to open the object properties. It's called stipple run. And the stitch length I am going to make a little bit longer. I'm going to make it 3 millimeters. and say apply. That will have zero effect on the visual of what this design looks like. But this is going to change what the design looks like. Number one, that stitching line, I am going to turn and top stitch. So I want these stipples to be farther from the edge. So the inset step, I'm going to go up to 2 and hit apply. And so now it's not quite as close to that edge. Would give me some room to top stitch after I turn it. And then for the couching, that's going to be way too close. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the couching so that we can look at it. But so right here, all I do is touch couching. And you'll see how tightly couched that would be. This is going to be cording applied from the top down with the number 43 couching foot. So I'm going to change that loop spacing. And so that's right here. I'm going to make this 0.45 and we'll say apply. Actually, that looks pretty good. What I'm looking at is I wanted one that kind of had that shape that went down into the point. Say apply, and that's going to do exactly what I want. And that will be with the number 43 couching foot and some cording on the surface of my fabric to give that side of the heart some texture. Here's the 43 couching foot using a 2mm cord to top down. It's a straight stitch that goes through the center of the cord. Really fascinating to watch. This foot is just amazing, and you don't have to use it in the embroidery hoop, but a lot of people don't realize you can use it in the embroidery hoop. So it's a wonderful foot to get a lot of texture and interest and couch things down. So that's how it works. There's the cord coming from the side. There's a little hook that holds it up. It's wonderful. So I'm going to say okay. I'll hit 0 again. And there is the placement line, the stitch down line, the decorative. Now I want to put a pocket on the front of this, and we will create the pocket in a separate hoop. But in order to then pretend that the pocket has already been created and bring it back and put it on in this hoop, I need to do a couple of things. So I'm going to take one of these hearts and I'm going to copy it and paste it again. So now I have a heart at the bottom. I'm going to make it another color. Let's make it green just because. And I'm going to want to right click and I'm going to hide everything but this heart. So I'm going to right click and hide everything. That was just a right click over here in the color film. Now because I have my grid on, I can see I would like the top of my pocket to be right along this line right here. And so that's how high I want the pocket on my finished project. So I'm going to make some markers outside of the heart. So when I lay the finished pocket on, I'll be able to tell where to lay it. So I'm going to digitize an open object. And I'm just going to find the line right here that I want to make it on. And I'm going to hold the control key down so that it's really a straight line and hit enter. Now I'm going to come in and select that, and I'm going to close my digitize toolbar. I'm over here on the left, and I'm going to open the mirror merge toolbar, and I'm going to just mirror merge this horizontally. And I'm just going to drag that. I can barely see the shadow of it, and I'll hit click, and it's right there. And so that made, let's see if I can do something to make those show up brighter. That made some marks that'll be on the stabilizer so that when I lay my pocket on, I can tell where to lay the pocket. So I'm also then going to need to sew the pocket down. So at this point, I would take this and I'm going to cut the top of it off at that mark. So I'm going to open Edit, come down to where the knife is, and I'm going to click at that mark on either side. I'm going to push Enter. I'm going to get the knife again, and click, click, and enter. And then now when I select, only the top part will come off. So what will happen is, let me move the placement line up one, and we'll look at our color film again. I'm going to right click and unhide all. So in the color film, I'll have a placement on the stabilizer only. I'll put fabric over that and stitch it down. Then I will come in and do that pretty stipple work on the front of that fabric. After that stippling, I'll sew these lines, and that will just be on the outside so that I know where to place the top of the pocket. And then I will stitch the pocket down. Once that pocket is on, I want to take this and I'll copy it and I'll paste it. It's at the very end. I'm going to make it a totally different color just because. And this is going to be the one that I will then put the backing of the heart face down and sew all the way around. So there's a couple of things that I want to do to this last stitch. That's this tie down or the stitch down. And I'll put the backing fabric face down, sew all the way around. I need to cut a hole in it and make sure that I can turn the project. But I also want to make it a little smidge smaller to sew inside of this previous stitching line. I've stitched one of these out, and if those lines match up, it's hard to get them all lined up. So I'm going to right click in the color film and say hide others. I like working on individual layers like this. And there's several ways to do this, but I'm going to do this by going into the edit toolbox on the left over here. And then I'm going to use the outlines and offsets. And I don't want to outline the object, I just want the offset. And so in the middle, I've made this offset. I'm going to make it at a negative amount. And I happen to know that 1/8 of an inch is 0.1875, so I'm going to make it negative 0.1875. And I do want it to be a triple stitch because this will be the final stitch down. And on the corners, I could have it a rounded corner, a sharp corner, or a cut sharp corner. And we may do this multiple times to see. I probably want this cut sharp corner. That's what I'm going to start with. And I do not want to include the hole. So I'm going to say OK. And there it is. Now by doing it that way, I got a perfectly offset line. And that will be the one that I keep, because then I'm going to unhide all. That will stitch closer, and any of this previous stitching will be out in the seam allowance. So I don't need this one that was the larger of the two. I can say delete. I only want this for my final stitch. And I'm going to then just hide the others again one more time. I have a tendency to work that way. And I need to cut a hole on the side. So once again in the edit toolbar, this time I'm going to use the knife. And I'm just going to cut a hole here. And then I'll use the knife again and I'll cut it again. And then I can click off so nothing is selected and then click back on. You'll see that just that piece is selected. I can push delete. And so now there is an opening that I'll be able to turn that project through that opening. I'm curious how big the hole is. To make sure, if you are curious to how big the hole is, you just push the M on your keyboard. You'll get a little measuring tool on your mouse. So I'm going to click, which resets it to 0, and drag. That is a 2.18 inch hole. That's big enough to turn the heart through. So I'm just going to say enter. And then I have my heart. So here we go. I'm going to unhide all, and it is ready, set, go. That'll be the last piece. So I need to take this piece. I'm going to copy it. I want to make the back pocket. I'm going to make a new design. And I'm going to paste. So here is our pocket. I'm going to hit the 0 so that it zooms out. I'm going to turn off the keyboard, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. So now my placement line for this pocket, I need to have a line across the top. So I'm going to come in to digitize and open object, and I'm going to turn on my grid one more time. Then I'm also going to hold the control key. So I'm going to click right here and then hold control so that it goes really straight, and click right there and push enter. And so now, let's turn the grid so you can see it. So now I've got a shape with a top on it. I'm going to come into reshape and zoom in and make sure that this is right on the top of my heart. And then I'm going to hit the P on my keyboard, turned it into a little hand. And I'll go back to reshape on my keyboard with an H. And I can move that one right to the top of that piece. Okay, so I'll hit 0. I'm going to hit my pick tool again, and there is my whole piece. Okay, now I need to do a couple of things. Number one, I need to copy this line I just made. So I'm going to, it is selected, I'm going to copy it and paste it and immediately change the color. And then I'm going to take that original line and make it the same color as the one above it. Although I don't have to make it the same color, but I'm going to. And while they're all together here, I'm going to go into my edit toolbox and tell it to weld these. And it will weld these together. So now that's just one big piece. That weld tool is kind of nice. So what will happen is, to make my pocket, I'm going to have this stitched on the stabilizer. I'll need to copy that and paste it, move it up one, change the color so that I can put my fabric down, and now it's going to stitch around the fabric. I'm going to put some words on my pocket, and then I will put the inside of the pocket face down, and sew this line, this last line that we saved, and that will sew a seam where I can flip it to the back. Okay, so last thing we need to do is just send it to the machine. So in BERNINA version 9, we have a Wi-Fi device, and it's up here beside the machine. There's the little picture. And when you turn the software on, the Wi-Fi connector program also turns on. It's green with a check mark because the sewing machine, the 880 Plus sewing embroidery machine, is turned on and powered up. So the physical Wi-Fi device at the machine has power. And that's important that everything be turned on at one time. So all I do is click on send to the machine, and it pulls up the machine the device is connected to. I'll say send, and that's all there is to it. It's very convenient. I like the Wi-Fi device much more than I anticipated liking it. I thought it might be cool, but in fact I find it extremely helpful and easy to use when I'm in working at my home studio. Now, of course, I still use my USB sticks, and I always save my designs and on and on, but I do find the new Wi-Fi device is incredibly convenient. So if you have one and haven't tried it yet, give it a shot. So that is how we make this little heart, an in the hoop project, kind of a just a quick and easy project, showing you some of those style of techniques and some of the things you might want to think through if you were going to do a project like that. So I sure hope you follow me at sewshelley.com. Join me over there on that website, or on YouTube, or on Facebook. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.